Hey guys, in this video I'll be comparing Martin Fitzwater and Hunter Labrada's most recent versions. To preface the video, I want to say that Hunter's video is taken from a lower angle compared to Martin, which is why his head may appear smaller than Martin's in certain poses. I tried my best to scale them accordingly, and I'm sure you guys prefer all 8 poses, as opposed to, only like 5 for Hunter at a more favorable angle. Remember, these comparisons are for fun and at best can give us an idea of what may play out at the Olympia. Now, I think that Hunter and Martin will be pretty close after seeing Hunter's recent showing, so this comparison will help see if that's true. Who do you guys think is going to place higher at the Olympia, and who do you prefer? I'd put my money on Martin being a wild card and a potential top 6 guy. However, let's break it down and see. The front double is an apples versus oranges pose to begin with, since Martin is so aesthetic and proportional while Hunter is pure muscle and size. Both are relatively balanced and have their respective weaknesses. However, I don't think either blow the other out of the water. Martin clearly has the best midsection, having a deep vacuum and a tiny waistline, a nice V-taper due to those wide lats, and some very thick, really full-looking quads. On the other hand, Hunter is like a big ball of muscle, presenting so much size in the legs, arms, and even the torso. The latter is his main weakness since his lower abs protrude to an extremely noticeable extent, and his waist is not really too defined or aesthetic in this shot. His arms are by far the best though, and his quads are massive. However, his shape is lacking and his conditioning doesn't stand out. I'm a big fan of Martin in this pose since even though he gets outsized in the arms and probably doesn't look as dense or large on stage, his symmetry, razor-sharp detail, and proportional mass is really eye-catching. I'd choose him over Hunter, however, Hunter with a fixed midsection would most likely be too overwhelming and would most likely take this pose. The front lat spread isn't the best pose for Martin or Hunter, however, I've seen them hit this pose better in the past. That said, with these two versions, my eyes are drawn to Martin for his fuller, more youthful looking muscle. His physique looks fresh and alive, whereas Hunter looks melted and flat in the chest, and the terrible lighting isn't doing him any favors when it comes to the separation. Yes, he's outsizing Martin almost everywhere upstairs, however, that might not be enough to really win the pose. Although Martin is less thick in the upper body, he truly embodies the mass with class statement, bringing great proportions and good enough size, along with phenomenal conditioning. I really like the striations in the delts and the hard conditioning look that he brings, and moreover the fullness in the quads really helps make the pose pop, and his only serious flaws are the chest and lats. I think I would go with Martin again, however, Hunter is huge and probably would take this one on stage with better conditioning and lighting. The side chest is telling of the true size that Martin carries, as we all know how big Hunter is, and seeing Martin do battle here is a testament to his competitive potential. While Hunter is decisively winning the side leg, mainly due to overwhelming size and slightly better, finer detail, Martin puts up a very solid fight upstairs. Hunter's got all the size in the world, however, he still manages to look a bit flat in the chest and soft in the arms. To be fair, the Italy Pro's lighting was some of the worst I've seen in a while, however, there's no denying that Martin looks harder, grainier, and fresher from head to toe. I prefer the chest display of Martin, and the arm and delt look granite-like. I don't know though, Hunter is bigger, but that doesn't really necessarily mean better. Let me know in the comments who you would have in this pose, since personally Martin stands out more for his youthful and aesthetic look. However, I know Hunter's massive and might take this pose if the two are standing next to each other. The rear double is a clear win for Martin, hands down, since he's blowing Hunter out of the water in the lower back, has far better hamstring and glute separation, and the arms and delts look comparable. To Hunter's credit, he's brought up his back significantly and the improvements are clearly visible. He's got great upper back development and more width in the lats compared to Martin, and his shoulders and arms are even more defined. However, he's losing the hamstrings and glutes pretty badly, along with the overall back development, I'd say. Now, I would probably give Martin the back and the lower body win easily, with Hunter taking the delts and arms for more size and condition. Hunter is good and decently conditioned overall, however, Martin exposes Hunter due to his paper-thin skin condition and incredible back density, and would take this pose. The rear lat spread is closer than the last pose since Hunter has a lot of width in the lats and thickness in the upper back. Martin isn't posing nearly as well as he was in the last pose, with his back looking much flatter and less 3D than before. he's still crushing Hunter in the legs, clearly having twice the glute feathering and hamstring separation for days. However, Hunter is like a tank with all that size. It's hard to say who's winning due to the mass versus conditioning battle that we have on our hands. However, I would probably go with Martin to be safe. Sure, he's not nearly as wide in the lats, however, he's smoking Hunter downstairs and really has a nice pop to the upper traps. If all things were equal with conditioning and lighting, I do think that Hunter would take the win, since I've seen his lower half in much better shape and he is extremely wide and dense upstairs. However, as it is, I think Martin would take the win. The side tricep is close, with this quite possibly being the closest pose yet. Both Hunter and Martin present great packages in this shot, bringing tight controlled midsections with good definition, solid side legs with great separation, and meaty arms with nice triceps to match. I'll say that Hunter grabs my attention first due to that thick feathered tricep, and his side leg posing makes his leg look much larger than Martin's. Looking at Martin, you can see that his side leg positioning isn't as favorable as Hunter's, as it leaves out a lot of potential hamstring size in favor of a more aesthetic posing style. Now, Hunter is arguably the best in the side tricep as of right now, and even with this weaker version, I would still say that he looks pretty great. Sure, his lower midsection could be more defined, however, the total package and silhouette are on point. Martin really just can't compete when it comes to the thickness that Hunter presents, and his arm does look a bit smaller in comparison. The Aban Thigh should be a pretty straightforward pose, as I'm sure you can all tell who's winning. If not, just take a look at the difference in their midsections and tell me that this is not night and day. This honestly looks like a Phil Heath before and after, with Martin being akin to a 2011 Phil in the abs, while Hunter is like a 2018 or 2020. Really bad midsection for Hunter when it comes to the lower abs, however his upper abs are defined, and his serratus and obliques are pretty shredded. Now, his quads do look softer than in previous versions, and it really does look like he missed his peak ever so slightly. However, neither factor changes the fact that his midsection is still horrendous. In contrast, Martin has bulbous fullness in the quads while simultaneously bringing amazing conditioning. His abs are popping and the surrounding midsection details are just high caliber, and the shape and flow is perfect. Martin is easily winning and is downright underrated in this pose, whereas Hunter is pretty bad and desperately needs to work on that midsection. The last pose, the Most Muscular, is a strong pose for both when they're on, however Hunter is clearly off and Martin is clearly on. I really don't know why Hunter shows zero chest striations, arm separation, or fine details anywhere, since leading up to the show he looked crazy dry and had definition for days. Here, though, the only area that is remotely comparable in detail would be the quads. However, even they look watery and a bit off. Whether it's the lighting or the actual peak, I'm not sure, but what I am sure about, I'd say, is that Martin wins this pose. Look at the quality that he brings in the shot. The chest, delts, the arms are, all rock solid and show so much density and crazy definition. The abs in the midsection are all controlled and detailed, and the quads bow out nicely and are super bubbly. The only knock on him is his shorter stature. However, his proportions are great and do mask this flaw ever so slightly. Anyways, that's it for this comparison, and to summarize, I had it ending in a 7-1 win for Martin. Most poses were relatively close and could have gone to Hunter if it was under the same lighting, and if he was slightly more conditioned. However, that's how it played out under these circumstances. Who do you think will end up placing higher at the Olympia? Let me know in the comments down below, and if you enjoyed, a like and sub would be awesome. With that said, I'll see you on the next one. Thanks for watching.